Okay, all right. Let's see. Everything's working. Yes, everything's working. So, I'm here with Patrick, and we're just gonna chat about like the big news this week about the U.S. credit rating going down. I think it was Fitch that knocked them down a tick from AAA to AA. So, first impressions. What are your thoughts on that?
It doesn't really matter.
Okay.
Because here's the deal, right? You're asking, is the U.S. government a good creditor? No.
That's
Why would we expect us to have the best credit rating with the amount of money we've been printing and the crapshoot we have coming? Like, was this really expected or was it really unexpected? Because fiscal policy would say we deserve that.
well. This is why I record my thoughts before. I recorded my thoughts on my way over to Patrick's before we had this conversation. Because I don't like anyone else influencing my thoughts, but I think it's significant because historically this has only happened in bad times for the U.S. And it's going to impact banking and mortgages and all the existing bonds that are out there. And now the U.S. is going to have a hard time funding anything new because the only way they raise capital aside from taxes is by selling bonds. So when your credit rating goes down, you can't sell bonds as easily. Not that they were selling them very well. So now everything's going to be that much more expensive, and it's the start. This is the start of the death spiral.
Yeah, but I talked about this yesterday on my Sat Poll show too. Is the question of, is it a surprise? Is it a big deal? The answer is no. It's not a surprise. It's not a big deal to me because this is what I've been planning for. I
Right.
expected this. I didn't know how it would look leading up into August and September, but we expected bad news to come out.
Sure. Sure.
So
But
this isn't surprising to me, but what we would expect to see is bonds like we talked about. People don't want to buy our bonds. It's like owning a stock of the U.S. You don't want a share of the U.S. market. Why would you want to share the U.S. market? So bonds are going to be harder to sell. They'll be dumping our bonds. Money will keep coming back. It will hurt our economy. But is it a surprise? No.
yeah, I didn't want to say it was a surprise, but it was interesting to see who did it. Fitch, probably the least known credit rating company, so they were the first ones to stick their neck out and do it because I'm sure there was lots of pressure from the U.S. to say, telling Moody's, S&P, whoever else like Deloitte, don't knock our credit rating down
Yeah.
because that's a bad sign. Because it's kind of like your own personal credit score. When your credit score goes down, it's harder for you to get capital.
Whether
raise
the
funds,
U.S. is
borrow.
your partner, right? So the banking system, the United States government is their partner in this. So why would you want to hurt your partner's ability to do business? You wouldn't want to tank the banking industry because they're the ones who borrow from you and fund you, and they're the ones who help your bond market. So
Right.
they don't want to hurt each other, but they can't hide the truth, and the truth is in the numbers, which is why we aren't shocked.
Right, and then our audience isn't shocked because we've been talking about this for so long.
Yeah.
But for a lot of people are like, well, wait a minute, now, but this has been a long time coming because this really goes back to our debt ceiling issue. Like that's what Fitch is attributed to, which was months ago. That was like September, October time frame, and then it happened again in the spring. But it's now we're like July, August,
Yeah.
and it's taken 4 or 5 months. And these are kind of things. These are not leading indicators. These are lagging indicators. It's going to take a while for this to ripple through, but we're going to see it. The stock market will have rough days. Banking sectors, real estate sectors. There's a lot of people.
And it's going to impact cryptocurrencies as well. We
Yeah.
understand that when fear is in the market and some people's stocks are tanking, they're going to look to other assets to take some of their money that they need to live their life.
Right.
So when everything tanks together, I mean, it's that whole rising tide floats all ship kind of thing.
Yes.
Isn't that what they say?
Rising tide raises all boats. Yes.
Something like
Something
that.
like that.
Yeah. Same with the sinking tide.
Yeah, but I think the money flowing out of certain sectors have to go somewhere. And
Oh, yeah,
obviously-
they're attaching their life raft to the Bitcoin ship.
exactly. So we think that it's funny that gold did not move up, silver did not move up, Bitcoin went up a little bit, and then kind of went back down. Then kind of slapped that a
Bitcoin's
little
back down a little bit now, under 29,000.
bit. It hit 30,000 briefly when this news came out, and then it came right back down to the 29th.
It's 28.9 right now.
They are keeping that Bitcoin in a channel, and they want to keep it between 28 and 32 for as long as they can, so that the big boys can get in and get with their share as much as possible before it really takes off. And as we saw with the Litecoin halvening, like just the other day,
Yesterday.
it was just yesterday, and the timing of that, it's a non-event really. It's kind of anticlimactic when a halvening happens because like the clock just ticks over, and then like okay, the rewards are cut in half, and nothing dramatic.
I don't
really
know.
happened.
I was on Crypto Jack's stream. Litecoin, Charlie Lee was there, and we were watching it as the block transition, and it was pretty funny because we were wondering, like, is it going to be the 10-minute long block for some reason like this time? But it was really a fun event because for us, we weren't expecting, the idea was, we talk about this all the time, buy the rumor and sell the news. We sold the news, and you saw if you had sold the news, you would be being able to capitalize on Litecoin today at a dip of, gosh, what's the dip
10%.
today? Yeah, it's down at least to $82 is what it's down to. So
Yeah, and it was over 90 recently, so that's like a 10%.
So that was a
move.
good play to capitalize on understanding how the markets react to this non-event, because the miners have already been pricing in the halvening for a while. I made that comment. Same thing here with Bitcoin. Now that we retested the support that it needs at 28, it's going to come back down probably. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see in the teens again before we go parabolic.
Yeah, and this is where we know, like, knowing certain sectors and knowing the influence, like real estate, banking, all these different credit markets and the economy. This is where it's beyond just crypto. You have to understand the money flow from asset class to asset class. But money's definitely going to be coming towards the preservations of value, which are gold, silver, and Bitcoin. Even platinum has been pretty much down. But I think we're going to see more on platinum, palladium, gold, and silver in about 3 weeks, because BRICS is August 22nd, I believe. So that's right around the corner. We don't know what the official announcement's going to be. We expect precious metals to be backing.
Well, they already announced gold. We know that there's a gold element that's been floating around, and it's been verified through more than just assumptions.
There was that Russian television and that tweet, and then we don't know how.
No, there was more that came out in the last couple of days too.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll have to look it up.
There's more confirmation coming out, and it doesn't surprise any of us. But people are like, oh, big deal, gold behind a currency. It's a big deal. We haven't had that on this planet since 1971 officially. So now we have other countries like the ruble the ruble and the yuan are tied to gold. So it makes perfect sense for BRICS to adopt that path and head on to back currency by something of value, which is the whole purpose of having the currency. It flows faster. That's what part of the name basis is. It's easier to flow through the economy, but it's intrinsic, has intrinsic value, because that dollar bill that people have in the United States used to be backed by a certain amount of gold, which got less and less and less over time, and now it's just a piece of paper. It's not backed by anything. So if we go back to if we go to an economy based on gold or something of value, and we have representation of it in the form of an IOU, some gold in a piece of paper, that's much more palatable, and it's a better economy version than what we have today. Now,
is it though? Because to me, I'd say, no, it's not.
It's still.
If I want gold, I'll have gold. If I want silver, I'll have silver. If I want Bitcoin, I'll have Bitcoin. I don't need a different way to represent the value. And I think that's what Joe Brown talks about is there value, is there utility in gold-backed cryptocurrencies? And I'm not sure that I know the answer right now.
I think there is, because you're adding the element I was just about to get to, because the whole issue with banking for thousands of years, or hundreds of years, maybe a couple thousand years, has been there's no audit traceability of how much gold they really have, and the fractional reserve banking issues that they can lend more than they have in their coffers. But if we knew, like, okay, this new currency, this is called the brick dollar. The brick dollar has 100 million ounces of gold behind it. So now we know that's the backing for that currency, and we can value it accordingly. But and that's on a blockchain. If it was a cryptocurrency, we could audit how much they actually had. Then that would change the game completely, because we don't know how much is in Fort Knox. We don't know how much China.
Yeah, but then you'd have to trust those central banks to actually tell you the truth about what's in their vaults. And no one is going to do that. You really think China's going to tell you how much gold they have?
I agree with that, but I'm just saying that
is it even real gold?
But the best, I'm trying to do in a utopian answer, a decentralized repositories of gold that were auditable and traceable, with a currency that could be overlaid on top of that was all on the blockchain. We know, Patrick has 100 ounces of gold, Jeff has 100 ounces of gold, and he's got currency representing that. On that small scale, that would work. The problem is the corruption of that system. We've never actually had a system like that in the true place.
It'd be good for gold bugs. It'll make the value of gold go up because the demand will go up. But at the at the end of the day, for me, I'm not playing at that table. You guys can all play at that table, but I'm not playing in any gold-backed digital currencies, not in terms of an investment strategy or utility strategy at all. I'm going to use Bitcoin. I'm going to use silver. I'm going to use gold. There may be options where it'd be nice to have a utility of a silver token to hold your value when you're moving in between on the blockchain. But if it's not integrated on the blockchain, then there's no utility. Right. And if the CBDC is controlled and not able and available on Uniswap or SimpleSwap or one of the exchanges, then to me, there's no utility, there's no value. It's just the same system with a dollar that pretended like there was gold until they found out they were running out. And I don't trust the government, so I'm
No.
out.
I mean, that's part of the Bitcoin mantra is it governless and borderless. You don't need to trust the government. It's the network validates itself.
That's correct.
The transaction, the transaction is the settlement as well. So it's all there on the blockchain. It's all auditable, and you can see where it all goes. You can trace it all back to the origins of that particular.
That's the idea of a link, that the end of one is the beginning of another.
So those are our thoughts for today. That's what we think about, but there's more to come. This is a pebble that got dropped into the lake of this financial system, and we're seeing the ripples and how they play out. So stay tuned for more as we move towards the bricks in a couple weeks, but we'll have lots more videos and lots more commentary as we get there. So stay tuned and be prepared and not scared. See you on the next video.